two different applications. You can see it's thinner and thicker on these test tiles here. So that's how you read that. But this is stroking coat. So this is what we love to use with the children for painting our sculptures, but it's also really fun to use as just like a way to apply really bright, vibrant color to your work. These are 4 different test tiles, and they're all slightly different. These 2 white ones, we have 2 white glazes. One is matte and one is glossy. This one's called marshmallow, and this one is white gloss. They're both the whites are in these bigger buckets.
So the marshmallow is matte?
Yeah.
Okay.
I would say
Or satin.
Yeah.
Yeah. And these were just striped on top of it. So you can do it on top, but you can also do it underneath the clear. So this is the first coats were the color, and then clear was on top. These are on top of the white. So these are just options where if you did want to paint that like bird, again, I always use the bird as an example, you could actually do it with these. I don't know how they react to the other glazes.
You know,
besides these.
yeah, like I picked the ones that I thought were the most stable and opaque, so white and kind of like the Mayolica kind of thing. I don't really know what they do with other.
Yeah. So there is a technique, it's called Mayolica, and it's from Italy, and it's that really like vibrant pottery where they take a white base glaze underneath and then they paint with, is it China paints kind of, or?
No, it's glaze.
It's glaze.
It's a glaze, yeah.
Yeah, on top. And so this is similar to that style. It's Mayolica, there's a J in there. M-A-J-O.
Or better, I mean, Talavera is another like version
Yeah.
of Mayolica.
Yeah.
A lot of people are.
And there's some examples in that book. If you're really interested in it, I can point it out to you. I think Linda Arbuckle, a really famous ceramic artist alive today in Florida, who does Mayolica. But this is just another opportunity for you to like paint on your pot. And then this example here, you can see there's no glaze on it. This is just straight up on top of the bisqueware. And you'll see that the colors come out a whole lot more vibrant when it's on top of white versus on top of the bisqueware. If you think about it, there's a white canvas underneath this versus a tan canvas on the bisqueware. And then these test tiles, Yoni?
So these are coming out glossy without putting clear on top, whereas those you have to put
Yeah.
glossy.
So these are glazes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Those are under glazes. Those are, like these are food safe, you have to eat off of them. Yeah. You can still use under glazes, but put a translucent glaze over top of it. Yeah. A little bit more information on these is you can see there's 1 coat and 2 coats. So if you want it to be kind of lighter, more watercolory, you can do 1 coat. If you want it more bright and saturated, opaque, 2 coats of it. So it's fun.
If you put that, you said you didn't know how it like reacts with the other glazes. If you put it on top of like the tan, like would it possibly chemically react, or would it just be like a color?
I think
no
it would
idea.
be fine. Yeah, but
You don't know.
I'm like 85%
Try it.
sure.
Put it on a pot you don't like.
Right.
Yeah, that's a good point. So, if you want to experiment, pick something that you're just like, oh, this is my shitty piece, right? I don't care if I throw this out later. Or, it might be amazing and turn a piece you hate into your best piece you've ever made. That being said, taking notes is super important because I'm not really do that. I promise you will forget what you do. And if something comes out of the kiln and you absolutely love it, you want to know how to replicate it. If something comes out of the kiln and you absolutely hate it, you want to know how to not replicate it. So it's really important to take some notes. And what I do for note taking, I just on an amber custom paper that if you scratch paper, I just draw like a little rough picture of my pot, and with like arrows and the name of the glaze, I say like first application, arrow like inside this like bowl. And if you have 5 bowls, you can say like, I don't know, somehow name it like smallest bowl, or so you can figure it out. And that'll really help you. It takes probably I say it takes like 6 months to learn the glazes and feel like you can understand them fully. And so it's a little overwhelming at first, and there's like tons of options. This is like, we've made the pots, and now it's like decorating them is a whole nother, it's half of the battle. You basically made the canvas. You've stretched your canvas. Now you gotta decorate it. That being said, some beautiful paintings are just white. So if you like white, I love white too. Just dunk it in white and call it a day. We have and some members who just like they're happy with white and she makes beautiful work. So
Melissa.
Melissa.
Her big bucket right
Yeah.
now, her trash.
Yeah, I think she was like, I want white, so she made it happen. She donated, I think, these glazes. So there's nothing wrong with simple. I tend to, with my forms, this is my own personal philosophy, is if the form is beautiful, if you put a very like chaotic pattern or design on it, it might distract from the form. Versus if like plates, they're not that beautiful to me, so there's a chance for fun decorative elements. Right? Does that make sense? That's my own personal thing though. Like I did all of those little kind of form experiments up there, and I glazed them white so that you weren't distracted from like paying attention to the form. So, okay, now I will demo how to do this. I am not going to wax my bottoms. And I'll just show you like the most basic ways to do it. If you want to use tape, the tape is over here as that resist we were talking about. And you would do it ahead of time. You can spend your time, you can cut out shapes, you can tear it if you want like a organic edge. So there's that. And like I said, you can wax your bottom or you don't need to. I'll show you how to simply just wipe off the glaze off of your foot as an option. If you want a single glaze, you can take these tongs and just do one dunk in and out, and you're done. It's great. You will have tongue marks, and I'll show you how to get rid of them. But if you want to do 2 different glazes or 3 or more, there's different ways to go about it. I'm going to show you, like I pointed out, the 3 colors, how to go about doing that. And what color should I use? Okay, powder blue. And everyone, if you've never done this before, come up here get closer. I just want to show you what the glazes look like when they have not been stirred, so that you know to stir them really well. So you can see the water, the glaze is kind of settled to the bottom, and there's a layer of water on top. Every single glaze, actually, no matter what, you do need to mix it up. Even if it looks like it's been stirred and mixed, it probably has settled a little bit. So stirring it up, there are these toilet bowl cleaners, which they're fresh. They've never been used in the toilet. But they're great, and you want to make sure you get all of the glaze that has settled all the way bottom. So I'm like going around the entire surface of the bucket, making sure I stir it up as much as possible, make it homogeneous. And then you can see the consistency of this glaze is like half and half. And that's what you want it to be. If it looks any thicker, grab Amber. She does a great job of keeping them perfect, so there shouldn't be any issues. But if you ever, another way to test it and see if it is the right amount of water in here is I like to dip my finger in, pull it up, and if you can see your cuticle like that, I know that's perfect.
Oh.
If you couldn't see your cuticle, it would be too thick. And when it's too thin, it's obviously like, yeah, right, it looks pretty good, right? Okay, so if I want to simply do that half and half, I'm going to hold it on one end and I'm going to dunk it. I don't have, and like the angle at which I dunk it will change where that line is too. So it's kind of fun to experiment with that too. Now 3 seconds is our magic number for how long we want to leave it in. This square though, at this studio, our biscuit comes out perfect pretty much every time, but if you're ever in a different studio, sometimes bisqueware gets overfired. And how would you know that? Well, you can lick your pots. Dead serious. So
You can what?
lick your pot like this, and your tongue will stick to it. Yeah, but I suggest honestly just trying it because this is perfect bisqueware, so at least you have knowledge of how it's supposed to feel.
Is it
What-
supposed to stick?
Yeah,
Oh,
sticks
okay.
a little bit.
And what happens
And
if
if
it's
it
been
was over?
overfired?
If it's overfired, that means the pores are a little bit tighter. Your tongue is not going to stick as much. So it's just good knowledge to have.
Does
Your
it matter
pots are
which type
clean.
of clay it is too, or is it the same with all like?
No, it's pretty much the same.
Okay.
Yeah. So right now, especially these are nice and dry. They've been bisqued. They are sponges. And how the glaze like ends up on our pot is you dip it in and it just soaks up the water and carries the glaze with it now onto the pot. And so by doing the tongue test, you're actually like the water's getting soaked out of your tongue, like taken out of your tongue, and you're basically feeling how much suction your pot has. So that's the tongue test. Has no one's ever heard of that before?
No.
Yeah, y'all learned something new. Okay. And so yeah, if you ever like come across pots and you're like, this doesn't look as pink as I feel like it should, then
Oh, wow.
didn't look it. Yeah, did you know?
It grabs.
It grabs it. Yeah.
I feel like I'm at, yeah,
Just blew your mind.
I'm at a stop sign. Like I'm on the cold.
So it's soaking up the glaze, and we want to make sure that if you leave it in too long, it's going to soak up too much. So 3 seconds is our magic number. So I let this sit for a second. I'm just going to give it a quick turn. So every time you go to use it, just stir it a little, and I'll dip it for 3 seconds. So let's see, I'll do it this way. 1, 2, 3, up. And then I just kind of like let the drips, I try and shake off some of the drips, give it a little twirl. And as soon as it stops dripping, you can turn it upright. If it starts kind of dribbling down and you don't want those dribbles, you can actually just blow on them and it like spreads them out. Don't lick it. Yeah, do not lick it now. So that's a great point. Glazes are really not great to ingest. So usually in any kind of art studio, you're not allowed to eat, but like especially wash your hands with soap before you eat anything. There's a lot of heavy metals in here, so you don't want cobalt in your body. And I think that's a metal that you can't get out. It's like in you forever, right? Yeah.
Ashley's eating.
So they're fine. Like I would say it's fine to like dip a finger in, but when I first was taught, I was actually taught to stir with my hand. I don't suggest doing that.
Wow.
Yeah, I learned from someone who was like 70 when I was 18, so he was like really old school. Anyway, okay, so in just like the 30 seconds or longer that I was just chatting, it has dried. It turned from that like wet shininess to powder. Once it's powdery, you can grab it. It's still a little bit wet, and it feels cold to the touch when it's wet. But